unfold. Game number 1 is behind us. Frozen Guard eager to take the clean 4-0 sweep, but we're going to stay cold here on Ice Mines.
Yeah, and I like this pick. Nocturns is going to have a much more of a chance to elongate the game, like we said, because this map is very, very long from spawn to capture point, and from capture point all the way through to where the payload's converted. So it's going to result in a much easier chance for defense, and will allow Nocturns to really get themselves going. They really didn't have anything that they can look at in that last game and said, this went well against EGR. They're going to have more time to feel EGR out on this longer, usually, map.
It was over so quickly for Nocturns. A little bit different in terms of the draft on this map, especially. Pretty polar opposite from some of the long sight lines that Frozen Guard sports. Ice Mines very close, very compact, at least in terms of the point control zone, and like you mentioned, extremely far away from spawn. So you saw how EGR were able to take points off of just one team fight win. This is even more the case on Ice Mines.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. That's the case with as far as trying to, again, and otherwise as far as picks, sustain is the big key here, I think, with keeping your team healthy or finding a way to keep constant pressure from damage. We see a lot of that happen. We usually see a little bit of extra flair with the possible Drogos coming out because, again, where that central team fight is, there's environmental hazard, plus you have to be really close to the capture point.
Possible Drogos, that's a... We haven't seen almost any Drogos here today, and if it's gonna come out, it's gotta be Ice Mines. It's gotta be a North American team bringing it out as well. Fernando, I would say I would lean a little bit more towards him on this map as opposed to Makoa in terms of my front line, just because Fireball scaling is so dangerous, and a lot of times teams are forced to come grouped up, clumped through smaller doorways. Every avenue into the point is very, very close quarters.
Yeah, and very often we see a number of teams opting to try to get really kind of cheeky flanks, either going through the mines or through that upper window area, and there it's all lined up. A Fireball is very rarely going to miss if everyone's there. So it's an interesting dynamic that Fernando brings. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and you know what are some of the items we're looking at maybe coming out on this map?
I was going to say we might see compositions that favor Master Riding, just simply because, again, like we were mentioning, if you can get the Fernando all the way through and around, it's very dangerous for the team to have to respond to that because there's not a lot of room to move.
Not a lot of lines of sight. You don't know where the Fernando has snuck off to. I really anticipate, Wardoom playing hide and seek in the back line. That is really going to be the case. No more speculation, though. Into the champion draft we go for Game 2 of EGR versus Nocturns.
You called it. Fernando might be the first overall, and in fact is. Again, EGR. It's interesting. I'm glad that you brought up the Master Riding, because looking at compositions, I was going to say, I wonder if EGR is going to keep this aggression up and do something kind of fun and go for the Master Riding to really, again, assert that early domination.
Makoa Eevee hovered right now for Nocturns, locking in the Makoa. Still thinking about the Eevee, but they're going to take her as well. Two very high impact, at least the Eevee for Team EGR in the previous game.
And Clausinho has done a really good job playing Eevee previously in EWC, as well as throughout the tournament so far. So I expect to see Clausinho rocking out that Eevee and trying to reestablish, again, getting that star power back online for Nocturns.
But the Bow Twins hovered halfway locked, and now definitely locked in for Team EGR. A dangerous damage duo here for Shady Shades and Rai off of Team EGR.
And the big thing too is Cassie has the ability to kind of dance back and forth between that little barnyard area, as well as getting back into the mines with dodge roll. There's a lot of areas where she can put out damage and then escape to, which is really key. Shaolin, on the other hand, has options to get in the windows and kind of dance back and forth between the left or the right one to put, again, more damage down on the point.
But it's the triple flank coming through for Nocturns on Ice Mines here, and a lot of mobility to try and shut down this Shaolin, this Cassie, but honestly, the Buck pick isn't the greatest into Shaolin.
I was going to say that, plus on this map, Buck does not
hits
usually...
his head a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of really tight areas, a lot of tight areas, and he kind of turns into a Goomba in that situation where he just gets smushed down by the environmental hazard of having bridges and doorways. But interesting is the fact that Maldamba and Ruckus survived this long, and I think EGR's saying, okay, that sounds good.
Final two picks for EGR were the Maldamba Ruckus, two barely highly contested characters throughout today, and Dread Serpent shutting down entire corridors of this map. Ying, the final selection for Nocturns to round out their composition. I mean, triple flank didn't work for these guys before, and Ice Mines, I don't know if that's the place to bring it out.
Yeah, Ying's going to have a very hard time finding healing on these characters if they do get aggressive. The good side of this, having lots of high mobility, is the fact that if Ying does establish kind of a fort, there's somewhere for those characters to retreat back to get more healing. But that's going to take a lot of communication. The good news is Fariul is probably going to be playing Ying, and based on what we've heard, he's one of the in-game callers. So that could be a very advantageous way for them to utilize that high mobility plus a more stationary Ying.
You know, ideally when you have 3 flank characters, you're going to be pretty spread out because all Eevee, Andro, Buck can do fairly well for themselves in terms of self-sustain. So the Ying, also the Makoa, you know, when he hooks someone, the follow-up might just not be there literally because his teammates could be scattered all across the map.
Yeah, it's a very solid point. And the other side of it is if they can actually get a peel first, get that burst, then they have the freedom to really kind of go out and chase down some extra kills. But again, these are very high communicational things that we haven't really seen Nocturns really vibe with yet. This might be the case to do it, though.
Yeah, Eager having the composition, in my opinion, to take on Ice Mines here. It will be Bitey on Shaolin, Z1 Unknown on Ruckus, Wi-Fi on Fernando, Arai on Maldamba, and Shady Shades on Cassie.
And for Nocturns, it will be Hecate playing Androxus, Fariul playing Ying, Halcyon Daves will be playing Buck, Quazinho will be playing Eevee, and Battletoad will be rocking some Master Riding, in fact.
Yep, on 2 for Bitey and Wi-Fi. You can see them leading the charge by a mile here. Going to be the first one. Have that fully drawn arrow, and it will land onto the Makoa here. 2,000 damage already, but Z1 Unknown getting shredded on the point. He will be first blood.
But on the top of that planet has a lot of very viable targets. They're able to turn around and get 3 more kills as Wi-Fi had a lot of low characters to really burn into.
And trying to find the shots onto that Eevee. Gonna miss, but she's gonna be sent back to base with the tail between her legs. Wi-Fi not only eating the damage from that reversal, but finding the kill shortly thereafter. Great job using that big booty to keep his teammates safe.
And that's the power of having all of that fire lance in these tight areas with a fireball on top of that. The sprint can really get him from place to place very quickly, and that's what we saw happen, why he was able to find 3 kills. Meanwhile, 82, 84% now on the point, looking to get closer to 90, and it has to be a commit from Battletoad to try to contest.
Battletoad's all alone though, healer nowhere in sight, just absolutely shredded down. We've got the Eevee here to try and contest. Blinks once out, but can't come back in. Overtime ticked through for Team Eager, feeding that reversal a little bit, but Z1 Unknown easily able to shrug that one off. Hecate, he's gonna go down, but he's gonna bring Arai with him.
Shady Shades is absolutely ridiculous on Cassie. It's just unbelievable how many shots he's able to hit. And on top of that,
out here 1v3.
Yeah, he's just going out there and getting the combos, and he's getting kills still. So even though he falls, it's a lot of damage done, and the payload's going to move very freely.
Space created too. Eager going to be hard pressed to break this choke. We saw a lot of teams stall out, particularly in the match point. D69 said those are 2 high-powered teams, and they stalled out very, very long here. So breaking that initial choke via space created by Shady Shades.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. It is totally worth the 1 life because he's now back. He's here. He's here to help through the next team fight. Buck, unfortunately, not in a good spot with the rest of his team. And again, that communication's falling apart, looks like, for Nocturns.
Well, we have a little bit of a lull in the action here. I would love to take a look at the loadouts, especially I just want to see what level leg day Halcyon is running there, because he didn't seem to get very far there. Hecate going to go down. Shaolin credited with that kill. Bitey, Eager, all the momentum on their side, but Wi-Fi going to go down on the front line. That's a lot of, they still have 1 more to spare. Shady Shade says, I don't need a front liner. I'm ready to mix it up in the back line by myself. Double kill, looking for more.
Yeah, zoning out the Eevee's really big right now, considering there is no frontliner here, and the payload is still inching its way. At least it was for a moment. With a minute 20, another nice shot from Bitey. These Bow Bros are doing really well. Nobody was contested the point. Eager finds another one. 2-0.
Just keeping Nocturns staggered right now, way ahead on the credit charts. 300 to 400 items ahead is going to be Shady Shades Arai, picking up a Master Riding as well.
And this is huge for Shady in particular.
Oh yeah, hit that cheer, girl.
It's absolutely huge as far as what she's able to go into for the itemization. A little bit of everything on the board, and that's really going to benefit this mid-game pressure that Cassie can bring as a character.
And I mean, he's got the emo, right? I mean, all these guys, they come in with fresh accounts with just lots of crystals to unlock everything, so it's still RNG that he got that. I think it's destiny here. And Shady Shades be playing Cassie. He got his cheer emote. Ready to roll. Scout available, Immortal available, Hexafire, Heat Haze, all online for Eager. Buck Wild is getting close, as well as Ancient Rage, so we can go ahead and count that as every ultimate available for Nocturns.
Yeah, and Dread Serpent's not too far off as well, above 80%. Scout will actually get everyone mapped out for Eager as things are moving again. The fight actually taking place off the site, and this is good for Nocturns actually, as things get a little bit discombobulated for Eager.
Absolutely shattering Nocturns frontliner, lack thereof. Ancient Rage, Intensifier coming out on the back line. Shady Shades finds Buck on the point. Eager control of things right now. Shady Shades absolutely ripping through the back line of Nocturns. I would love to be able to see that. Moving back towards the point. It's going to be a Ride Red Serpent. Go for the reload stun there on Ying, but won't find it.
Now, Fariel will be able to dimensional link back actually towards danger, but keeping themselves alive a little bit longer, but not for too long. It was interesting because it was a 2-on-5 in favor of Nocturns for a minute there. Immortal came out and everyone from Eager just collapsed. It was really good follow-up, and just a lack of opportunity on Nocturns. 96%, another point is going to go in favor of Team Eager.
Yep, and they have the chance to close out game number 2 here. A lot of momentum. Talked about how hard it is to capture and convert on Ice Mines. Eager notably able to do it without the use of almost any ultimates.
That's huge too, again, because this push is very difficult. Even if you are really onslaughting your way through, we have their Cursed Arm trying to stable things off, but again, nothing going the way for Nocturns as Shady Shades is in the back line creating chaos, and the Dread Serpent.
This is a free team fight win off the back of that Dread Serpent. Shady Shades in absolute terror on a 13 streak right now. Doing Unknown on a 17 streak. Arai even on a 9 streak. 5-1 for the Maldamba.
Yeah, it comes down to great positioning when it comes down to it for Arai. Able to stay away from the fray and use Slither to get in and out of situations where he can either do more healing or escape a lot of danger.
I mean, that's why we say Buck picking into Shaolin almost immediately bursted down. Nice impale stun with the follow-up shot is going to be good. Dimensional link around the shuffle begins. Clausinho will do though, Bitey says, I am perfectly fine taking that for real. Definitely isolated and taken down once again. Buck Wild's going to come out, but he's so low coming out of spawn. Team Eager making it look easy.
Yeah, and this is exactly what they need. This is a reestablishment set for them as they look to go possibly to take down Burrito. It's going to be a tough task to do, but this is a good tune-up for them as far as getting themselves back together.
This is the Eager I think we're all used to seeing. I think the Eager we expected to see coming into this tournament, as well as a bit of a shaky draft, I would say, from Nocturns. Their triple flank, not something often run in a serious situation.
Yeah, and it just, again, they tried to find a way to really kind of harass, and it just wasn't there because the peel was so easy from the Impaler arrows. You know, having the Fernando that can really make a distraction happen as far as the backload goes, the back walls and all that stuff, as far as the back line is trying to establish themselves. And it's going to be interesting to take a look at our score screen to see who really was the shining star from Eager throughout all of this.
We got to give it to Shady Shades, man. 38,000 damage, but 38,000 on Z1 Unknown and Bitey as well. Shady Shades getting it done oftentimes by himself. You can see the 3 solo kills, 17 streak, and only 1 death for 3 members of Eager.
That's really big when it comes down to, again, the team helping themselves and really kind of getting the assist. We always hear Bitey screaming, you know, trying to get his team to really work around where he has the vision of the team moving, and they're doing so very, very well. And on the flip side, really nothing going the way for Clausinho this time, which was a surprise, only 1 in 6.
Yikes. 283 credits for the Buck, 220 for the Eevee, so absolutely strapped for cash was Nocturns. Not able to get a lot of these items online. Where you take a look at some of the pockets of Eager are well lined, over 1,000 for Shady Shades Z1 Unknown. One of the few sub 10-minute games that we've seen here today. Just, I think I got to draw it back to, you know, drafting 2 more flankers, and Droxus and Buck with Ruckus and Maldamba still on the table, 2 highly contested picks.
It's really interesting. You know, why is the question when it comes down to it. Would you allow both of those characters to stay alive in the draft and be available? Speaking of drafts, we'll have to go ahead and see where map 3 will be played.